So, good evening and welcome to Daily News Simplified. Before we begin our session, let me just give you a notification that the regular morning batches are going to start from the Bangalore campus from 11th of October, and weekend batches are going to start from 9th of November at our Bangalore campus. So, in today's Daily News Simplified, dated 28th of September 2024, we are going to discuss the following articles with respect to your civil services examination. With respect to the mains, we are going to discuss articles like BRICS and land reforms. And when it comes to the prelims department, we will be discussing two important articles that would be with respect to Commission for Air Quality Management and peaks in Arunachal Pradesh, which have been recently named after Dalai Lama. So we are keeping this session very short because you have to stay tuned for the upcoming discussion of ethics paper. That is going to be the part 2 of the series. Yesterday itself, Hazan sir discussed the very first lecture with respect to the ethics paper, and in the continuation of the same series, Hazan sir will be discussing the remaining part of the ethics paper today. So without further delay, let us begin our session. Right. So the first article that we are going to take is inspired by the news that featured on page number 12 of today's The Hindu newspaper. The context of this news is that the ongoing 79th session of United Nations General Assembly meeting, External Affairs Minister met his counterparts from the other BRICS countries, and he remarked that the association of BRICS is significant for ensuring multipolarity of the world and global diversity. So these two are the key points when it comes to what he has recently said. Although these words might seem benign to you, but they carry very heavy meaning when it comes to international relations. So in the past, although there has been no direct previous year question when it comes to the BRICS countries, it has featured in the preliminary examination, but as of now, it hasn't featured in the mains examination. But in the recent past, there has been a question on the SCO grouping, and on the similar pattern, there might be a question or two in the upcoming examinations when it comes to BRICS. So let us have a brief understanding of what BRICS actually is, right? So it was the BRIC was a informal grouping. It originated as an informal grouping, and the first meeting of BRIC nations commenced in 2019 in Russia. It was based on certain fundamental principles. So what were those fundamental principles? So the principle was solidarity. What do we mean by solidarity? That is solidarity of the global south. Then openness. We as a group, the BRIC countries as a group were not very exclusive or a coterie kind of thing. They were open to membership of the new members, right? Then the third principle is of pragmatism. What do we mean when we say pragmatism? Pragmatism means we are not bound by any isms, that is liberalism or communism or capitalism, right? So on and forth. So they were not bound by any ideology. They were pragmatic in approach that whatever are the national interests or the interests of the global south are there, they must be served rather than aligning themselves. And like for example, countries like Pakistan, they were not part of the first world, but yet they aligned themselves at the time of Cold War. They aligned themselves with the Western Bloc. Then neutrality in the global affairs. They are not going to take any sides when it comes to camp politics, right? With respect to any third party and non-bloc culture. Similarly, they are not going to join any Eastern Bloc and Western Bloc, right? It is ironical because one of the main core countries of this grouping came from the Eastern Bloc, that is later part of the Soviet Union, that is Russian Federation. So later on, South Africa also joined the grouping in 2010, and the group was renamed as BRICS. That is, S stands for South Africa. What is the economic overall weightage of BRICS in the global participation? These five nations constitute around 42% of global population, and it also spans across 26% of the landmass of the whole world. And in recently, on the 1st of January 2024, BRICS countries was expanded. There was a second expansionist wave of BRICS countries. It included countries like Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, and United Arab Emirates in their own fold. So now let us understand what is the significance of BRICS as a grouping, right? We must understand certain elements which are necessary, which are the core elements of the answer writing. The first element is what is the significance of this grouping. For example, in this question also, critically examine the aims and objectives. So what's important for us to understand with respect to a group? Its aims and objectives, or for instance, its significance in the global footing. These kind of things are to be kept in mind while reading an international grouping. Right. So the first significance is that it has emerged itself as a economic powerhouse. When it constitutes around 40% of the global population, the world's two most populous nations are part of this group, and similarly 20%, 25% of the GDP of the whole world is part of this group. Then second aspect is its economic emerging market. These countries constitute emerging markets leadership. So in 20th century, the market leadership was captured by groups like G7, group of 7 most industrialized nations. But 21st century also belongs to the countries who consume, who produce as well as consume. So these are the emerging, these are considered as, BRICS countries are considered as economic, not only economic powerhouses, but emerging economic market leaders. Right. The third feature or significance of the BRICS countries is that it ensures multipolar world order. Now, in our successive DNSs, Weber sir has also discussed world order, and in the past I have also discussed what is the concept of world order. So So all this emerges from the thesis which is called as polarity of power thesis. So as of now, the era of this world order is that the world is it is considered as a multipolar world order, and BRICS countries are considered as one of the important linchpin when it comes to calling this world as a multipolar world. Another significance is that it ensures it is one of the uh, after NAM perhaps it is one of the most important or significant group which has created a kind of footprint on the world map when it comes to global South-South cooperation. Then another significance of this grouping is that earlier, erstwhile, the global governance, especially when it comes to the financial governance of the whole world, it was dominated by the World Bank and the IMF. It has the BRICS countries have emerged as an important replacement when it comes to, or at the very least, they have become an important stakeholder when it comes to the economic governance of the whole world. It has taken very important and significant steps when it comes to eradication of global poverty. For example, most importantly, they have taken various steps in the continent of Africa. Then there is a strategic significance when it comes to this particular grouping in the important aspects of global governance. For example, issues like climate change, energy security, global peace, all these are the issues of commonality when it comes to the grouping of BRICS. Then initiation of new development bank and contingency reserve agreement. That means it holds a corpus of $100 billion at the disposal of the BRICS countries. Similarly, BRIC countries also serve as a powerhouse or storehouse of the best practices. See the problems, for example, problems and challenges of the developing world are considered as different from the developed world, right? So developed world had to develop the theories for themselves, the applications for themselves, finding out the problems for themselves and finding out the solutions for themselves. So here they are ready to share those practices with other developing countries and continents. So BRICS again serves as a research center or a powerhouse when it comes to sharing the best practices. Now, what have been the recent achievements when it comes to BRICS? What has been the recent achievement when it comes to BRICS? The recent achievement, most important, is in the 2024 year. There has been recent expansion of BRICS countries, and with the expansion, has been an inclusion of Egypt and Ethiopia from Africa, Iran from Asia, and then again UAE from Asia. And now we can say that except for maybe perhaps Europe and Americas, it has got a global footprint, right? It has truly emerged as a one of the global grouping. Similarly, in the recent meetings, there has been a discussion around de-dollarization and a unified currency for the BRICS countries. So, in future, if the things go well, we'll be seeing uh, de-dollarization, that is stopping the dependence on the US dollar and moving towards a unified currency, mutually accepted currency when it comes to the BRICS countries. Then there is an aspect with respect to strengthening of new development bank and initiation of new development bank. So it acts as a alternative to other global banking institutions, along with which there used to be various strings attached. When they used to give loans to the developing countries, there used to be various strings attached. Now with the initiation of new development bank, we can get better loans, better conditions along attached with the loans, so on and forth. So this means that NDB has also further achieved very much in the framework of uh, opening up of the financial sector for the developing countries. Then they have launched various projects when it comes to Middle East. For example, in Palestine, right? They have launched projects with respect to energy and sustainable development. They have launched projects with respect to green infrastructure, vaccine research when it came to two important vaccines of the world came from Russia and then India, right? India was one of the leading exporter of vaccines to the countries of the developing world and especially in the context of Africa. Then the recent achievement is with respect to BRICS contact group on economic and trade issues. This has further streamlined the processes with respect to when it comes to trading with the within the developing countries. Then there is achievement with respect to development of healthcare, research in healthcare, and there has been to a lot of extent there has been development when it comes to curbing the issue of terrorism as well. And lastly but not the least, it after the inclusion of these four countries, it has made the foreign policy of any BRICS countries polydirectional in nature, right? So it could be foreign policy can be seen to be in various ways, right? For example, unidirectional for foreign policy. The best example is Pakistan. All its actions are taken in the context of as a response to India. Multidimensional foreign policy. For example, India's foreign policy can be seen as multi-dimensional foreign policy. We have neighborhood first, we have look east, right? We have our independent relationship when it comes to big powers, right? So on and forth. And then polydirectional means again it is in further advancement when it comes to multi-dimensional. Here, how? Because these particular countries have been will be giving a very much uh, detailed a kind of detailed character to the institution. So the foreign policy would be becoming polydirectional in nature, which is again a very good thing. But at the same time, issues there are various issues and challenges when it comes to the when it comes to BRICS. The first issue is the issue of overlap, right? What is the overlap? Again, there is a grouping which is known as IBSA. To a large extent, it has become almost defunct. That is India, Brazil, and South Africa. This particular grouping was there. Again, there is a grouping when it comes to Russia, India, and China. So there is a lot of overlap when it comes to BRICS, IBSA, and Russia, India, China grouping. So this overlap again creates a kind of confusion that which kind of forum is to be used best to forward which kind of national interest. Then another aspect and the most important aspect is the player that is China in this particular grouping, right? So the first aspect is economic imbalance. That because China's GDP is close to 18 trillion dollar, it takes unilateral decisions, right? So China, unfortunately or so, it is prone to taking unilateral decisions, and which creates a kind of chink, a kind of rough in the relationship when it comes to India, China, or BRICS relationship. Then another issue is with respect to Belt and Road Initiative. This particular initiative has been initiated by China and it is accused of creating debt dependencies, especially in Asia, South Asia, Southeast Asia, and Africa. Again, another investment is that issue is that China is again independently investing in countries like Saudi Arabia, other countries of Middle East, UAE. So, which this particular independently investing again compromises the aims and goals of the BRIC countries as a whole. Then again, another issue is with respect to political influence. This group particularly is seen as a group that is challenging the hegemony or targeting the Western hegemony and creating influence over the NDB. Then another issue is with respect to the challenges which are faced bilaterally when it comes to Russia and China. Again, there is a certain kind of rivalry, right? Then when it comes to India, there are issues, for example, such as the string of pearls. We all know it. India-China border disputes are already going on, and again, Himalayas have been heated up. And lastly, the inclusion of Iran would again further the apprehensions of the West that again this kind of group is becoming an anti-West kind of alliance because Russia is already in war with Ukraine. China again is in constantly trade wars with USA. Iran has claimed itself to be the sworn enemy of the state of Israel. So again, these countries when they take these kind of actions, they appear to be desperate and they appear to be a kind of anti-Western bloc. So this kind of image or character should not be seen as a global institution. It is antithetical to the image as a global institution, right? So these are the issues and challenges, and obviously these issues and challenges would be there. And the best thing about foreign policy is that we have to learn to balance various groupings, right? And focus on our national interest. With this, let us try to solve a practice question. For example, practice question can be there in this way. The BRICS grouping has evolved as a significant player in global economics and geopolitical affairs. So now how do we decode this? We'll have to introduce what is BRICS, what are BRICS countries and how they have evolved themselves as a significant player in first global economics. You'll have to write 2 3 points on the point that how it has evolved itself as a global economics powerhouse and then as a geopolitical affairs powerhouse. Discuss the recent development and challenges faced by BRICS in achieving its objective of reforming global governance and promoting multipolarity in international system, right? Or it could be there could be a question, for example, like after the inclusion of Iran, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, and UAE. After the inclusion of Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, and UAE, the grouping of BRICS has achieved an international character. There could be a question like that, right? So you please try, you please read the material that is being forwarded with this, and please try to write these practice questions, right? Moving on to the next topic for the day, that is associated with land reforms. A very beautifully written article appeared on page number 13 of today's Indian Express. What was the context of this article? The writer of this article took the inspiration from Economic Survey, which has highlighted that there are various challenges in India's land reform process. For example, there are issues with respect to unclear titles, insecurity of tenure, and limited access to economically viable land. This all leads to lack of comprehensive land reforms in the country, right? So, within this, keeping this context in mind, we will be understanding the issues around the land reform and what can be the suggestions and way forward. What is the syllabus mapping with respect to three? This article, your GS paper 3 says that land reforms is an important aspect of GS paper 3, and in the past there have been straight up questions on the topic of land reform. There have been questions on achievements of land reforms, there have been questions on limitations on land reforms, and then there have been questions on what is the way forward when it comes to land reform. So these are the three broader themes when it comes to the issue of land reform, on which in the past UPSC has framed questions. You can see this reference question of 2013, 2023 in the slide, right? Moving on, what let us understand what is the context and what is the meaning of land reforms in India. It refers to an institutional measure as in state is the institution which is taking an institutional measure which is directed towards altering the existing pattern of ownership. First aspect is ownership, second aspect is tenancy. What is the difference between ownership and tenancy? Tenancy means tenant who is tilling the land. Ownership as in maybe the landowner could be someone different, so that person who is stealing something could be some different. Leasing means as in leasing to someone else for a certified particular period of time, and management of land. So this is a comprehensive definition that should be written in your answer. There are, again moving on, there are four components of land reforms. The land reform by the government has been seen from four aspects. The first one being the abolition of intermediaries. This intermediary is a prajati which was introduced by the Britishers in India, right? So abolition of intermediaries, right? Then there is tenancy reforms. Third aspect is fixing the ceiling of the land holding. That is, yes, you cannot hold more than X amount of hectares of land, right? And then consolidation of land holding. These are the four aspects of the land reform process. Now why is there a need of doing land reforms? Because if land reforms are not done, farmers are permanently or perpetually they keep grinding in a vicious cycle of land ownership and social economic status. Why? Because their small and marginal farmers are there. They have fragmented land holding with absence of land record. Now when they don't have land records, they are not able to take any credit or loans, and this means that they are not able to invest in their agriculture, right? So when they are not able to invest in agriculture and then they have to take care of their families as well, they have very low market surplus. The farm, the size of the farm itself was very less, and again when coupled with lack of land record, the farmer could not take any loans. So this leads to what? Low market surplus and exploitation by the trader. This in turn leads to low income and low socio-economic status of the farmer, and then the cycle continues, right? Year after year, decade after decade, and generation after generation, right? So the present government had a ambitious goal of doubling farmer income by XXXX year, but this has not been fulfilled as of now. We have another shifting goalpost, right? So we'll be seeing it in the later aspect, right? Moving on, what has been the impact of land reform on small and marginal farmer? So, as of now, what has been the impact or achievement of the land reform on the small and marginal farmers, right? Indian agriculture, for example, is dominated by small and marginal farmers. 86% of the farming community in India comes from small and marginal farmers, which accounts to 48% of agricultural land. Again, we already saw that how these farmers are caught in the vicious cycle because of fragmented land holding. So this leads to continuation or perpetuation of the vicious cycle, right? Then improved socio-economic condition of the marginal and small farmer is impacted, right? Again, another third aspect is that there was a partial success of Bhudan and Gramdan movement, which were undertaken by Vinoba Bhave, and there were certain success stories. For example, land sealing acts were enacted by various states, and equity in land ownership was promoted by various states. Another achievement is with respect to enabling marginal farmers to lease in and lease out land holdings and consolidation of land holdings, right? Another advantage or achievement of land reform is that it will give rise to promotion to cooperative farming. Cooperative farming means farmer X, farmer Y, farmer Z, they all have small land holding. Yes, he has this land, he has this land, he has this land, but collectively they have a large piece parcel of land. They can pool it, they can take loan on it, they can go for cooperative farming, and they can again various they can again gain better than what they could be getting as an individual tiller, right? Then again, land record modernization has reduced litigation in courts and facilitated access to institutional credit. Keeping all these things in mind, it is clear that land record modernization is the future. It is a need for the future of agriculture in India, right? But again, why has there been? We have established that there have been certain success stories in the past, and we have amply established why there is a need of land record modernization. But despite all these, what have been the reasons for the lack of success of land reforms in India? So again, you please tell me, the issue of agriculture lies in which list, and issue of land lies in which list? Does it lie in the central list, state list, or concurrent list? Which kind of list does these issue lie in? Right. So only prima facie understanding would tell that most of the issues pertaining to agriculture and almost all the issues pertaining to land lie in the state list, and herein lies the problem, right? So because these things lie in state list and all states do not have congruence of ideas or ideology when it comes to land reforms, so that is why there have been delays in enacting land laws, which gave enough time to landowners to escape these various provisions, right? There were loopholes in the legal frameworks, right? For example, zamindars were allowed to keep their land under personal cultivation without any limit. So this term personal cultivation was loosely defined, and this was again misused. So even though there were noble intentions behind programs like Bhutan and land reforms, right? But only limited interest of the zamindar class was able was the reason behind why they could not take the successful shape. Then another aspect is that plantation as a category was exempted from the ceiling, and then landowners found again another loophole. So this loophole led to what? They used to declare that yes, this particular amount of land is with me, even though it is beyond the ceiling limit, but yes, I'm using this for plantation purposes. So again, it falls under the exemption, right? Then another issue was that with respect to this was absence of modernized land records. So government after governments have been pushing on digitization of land records. So because there were no digitization of land records, it made it difficult for the government to implement reforms related to land ceiling acts and distribution of surplus land among the landless people. Again, another issue why it could not be successful in India was optional nature of laws. Most of the laws granting ownership to rights to tenants were not mandatory. And you know, when laws are not mandatory, laws without sanction become only moral precepts. A moral person would perhaps follow those laws, but when without teeth, without any kind of sanction, right, laws will not gain popularity or compliance when it comes to land reforms. Another issue or reason was there was lack of social consciousness among the tenants as well. The poor tillers, farmers, they did not know that they are having certain kind of rights. Why? Because they were coming from very downtrodden socio-economic class. They were not having various cognizance of those rights. Another issue was unclear title, insecurity of tenure, and limited access to economically viable land. as a barrier to multiple development goals, right? Then as soon as these laws were limited, you will hear that right to property was part of fundamental right in the original constitution. However, again after various judgments, various litigations, it was removed from the fundamental right, right? And as of now, it is a constitutional right. But in the meantime, there was increased litigation at all the stages of judiciary, be it district, high court, or supreme court, right? So litigation means perpetually you are committing that. The matter stays in court, and at the same time no commercial or very less commercial activity would be conducted on the land. Then again there was lack of political will. Again, if we see the spectrum, the left, which drew their voter base from the very poor people, they were very much inspired to take up land reform initiatives. For example, land reforms were very much successful in states of West Bengal, Kerala. Why? Because they were drawing their voter base from very poor and downtrodden communities. Similarly, various right-wing parties, various centrist parties at the time of independence, they had their voter base from uh, the upper middle or upper class communities, or the zamindar communities, the banya communities, right? So they were not having very much political will when it comes to implementation of those reforms. And lastly, corruption and bureaucratic apathy and close nexus between lower level officials and zamindars, right? Zamindars के ही relatives used to be lower level officers. For example, Patwari would never give any decision in against the interest of Zamindar class. So these were all the issues that were the reason behind why there was lack of success of land reforms in India. Now, what we see as a way forward, what can be considered as a way forward, if we take specific example of recent trends, recent suggestions that could be incorporated, what can we say that it would contribute to modernization of land records? First suggestion is that there should be a consolidation of information which is spread over multiple departments. So not just revenue department, all the other departments are also having various kind of, for example, tribal department, right? Social justice department, these are also having various kind of interference, right? Or stakeholdership in the land reform and land redistribution. So there must be first of all consolidation of information which is spread over multiple departments, and then again after the consolidation of information it should be processed and digested. Then Digital India Land Record Modernization Program, that has been renamed and recasted as Swamitva scheme, is already there, but again there are challenges when it comes to implementation of those schemes, right? These challenges have to be fulfilled. Then again, as suggested by the author of this particular article, there needs to be establishment of land registries, assigning unique identification numbers to the land parcels, and integrating land records with digital platforms such as AgriStack. These can be the various technological solutions to the land record modernization. Another suggestion when it comes to land record modernization is a suggestion given by various committees, that is there should be conclusive land titling. Moving on, there another suggestion is surveys with community involvement should be there so that the poor and vulnerable are not left behind. Moving on, institutional changes and maintenance of records must be there. You bring in the scheme, but are the lower levels of bureaucracy empowered enough to commit themselves to the changes, right? They are not having training when it comes to the implementation of various scheme and maintenance of records in the modern way. So this needs to be taken care of. Then again, with respect to another suggestion is with respect to this is that government needs to actively promote land pooling and land leasing. And in this particular context, the example of Gujarat, the state of Gujarat comes in front. which has also been suggested by the author and various scholars, that the Gujarat model of land pooling and land leasing can be an ideal model for the other states to follow. And lastly, there is a six-stage framework for tech adoption, which should be adopted when it comes to, right, this land record modernization. First being scalability of the model, second is sustainability of the model of land record modernization, third is suitability, right? Is it suitable for this particular state? For example, certain model could be suitable for a state X which has very less ST population, tribal population, but it could not be very useful for a state Y which has a large number of, for example, SC population, right? So suitability of model has to be again checked in. Then another aspect is speed with which land record modernization can be done. Simplicity first for the end user, another for the civil servants as well, and another third party is the purchaser. If there is a matter for purchasing or selling of the land, it should be simplicity and security of the system, right? These are the recommendation as per the article and as per the static understanding of the topic, right? With this we move on to the practice question. Just let us just read this question. Despite various efforts, issues of land reforms in India persist. Right? Issues in land reforms in India persist due to complex framework and fragmented landholding. So, what are the two issues? First one being complex framework, and second aspect is fragmented landholding. Complex framework is a legal issue. It is a bureaucratic issue, right? And fragmented landholding is a social issue or an economic issue, right? So these two are the pillars because of which the land reforms in India have been only partially successful, right? So critically analyze the effectiveness of current land reforms initiatives and suggest measures to address these challenges. So again, this should be written in for 250 words or 15 marks. Please try to write this question. We'll take a break and move on to the prelims aspect of the syllabus quickly. Moving on to the second part of the DNS for today, we will be taking two articles here. First one is the Commission for Air Quality Management, and second would be peaks in Arunachal Pradesh. We'll be taking it very quickly. The first article is with respect to Commission for Air Quality Management. This particular news appeared on page number 6 of today's The Hindu newspaper. What is the context? Supreme Court has wrapped the air quality panel, that is this Commission for Air Quality Management for pollution in the capital city, that is India, right? Oh, sorry, that is Delhi. So we will understand about this particular body very quickly. This was set up for air quality management. As you know, the winters are coming. So with winters, there comes a very deep, thick fog or smog in the NCR region. So this particular body was set up for better coordination, research, identification, and resolution of problems around which are located around air quality index in the NCR region. It is a statutory body, that is, it has been created by a statute which has been established by Government of India in 2021 specifically to cater this particular issue. What is the primary role of this body? To improve air quality in the NCR region. What are the key functions and initiatives that have been taken up by this body? The first function was coordination. Coordination amongst whom? Various stakeholder states. In pollution in Delhi is not just Delhi's problem. It is coming from Haryana, it is coming from Punjab, to some extent it is also coming from Rajasthan and UP, right? So there, if we have to solve the problem of air pollution in Delhi, we have to take all the stakeholders on board. Then another key function was planning and execution of the same plan which has been made by the body. Third aspect is with respect to research and development with technical institutions, various technical institutions of India, to address the air pollution. To implement GRAP, that is Graded Response Action Plan, when it comes to air pollution in Delhi. and to address specific issues when it comes to stubble burning, dust control, and construction activities. So this is the body which implements these kind of control measures when AQI index surpasses certain numbers, right? So in past there have been questions on NGT, CPCB, right? So in the same spirit, we have taken a practice MCQ on Commission for Air Quality Management, because yes, this is a statutory body and questions can always be asked on various statutory bodies which are functioning, right? So with reference to Commission for Air Quality Management, consider the following statements. First, it is a statutory body. Is it? Yes. It has mandate. Its mandate is to improve air quality in all Indian states and statutory towns. Yes, again, statement 2, is it correct? Is it for all the Indian states? Has it been does its mandate cover all the Indian states, or is it specifically for Delhi NCR? So no, statement 2 is incorrect because it is only for Delhi NCR. It conducts research to address air pollution. Yes, one of the mandate is to conduct research and development with respect to with the help of technical institutions to address the issue of air pollution. So how many statements are correct? This is correct. First is correct. Third is correct. That renders option B as the correct option. Moving on very quickly, we'll see what is the context of the next news we are going to take. This particular news appeared that a group of mountaineers climbed a particular peak in Arunachal Pradesh. Yes, it is an integral part of India, and they named it after the sixth Dalai Lama. So again, Chinese Foreign Ministry, as it already is, right? They had to again pass a remark on it. So that is not important. The important thing for us is to understand various map locations associated with that particular peak which has been named, right? So this particular mountain range in which this peak was located was Gorichen range. This is a name that should be remembered by all of you, right? What we will understand about certain things about Gorichen range. Its location, it is located near the border of India and Tibet. Yes, this is the border of India. This is Arunachal Pradesh, and this is the border with Tibet, right? So it is located in the Kameng region of Arunachal Pradesh. If we see in the broader map of Arunachal Pradesh, these are the two districts which constitute Kameng region, right? East Kameng and West Kameng. So this is the bordering area between Arunachal. It is located in the western part of Arunachal, and overall it is located in eastern part of Himalayas, right? So it is important and known for its very scenic beauty when it comes to climbing and trekking. Various flora and fauna which is found in this particular range is snow leopard and red pandas are found in this particular region. So when it comes to Gorichan mountain range, its highest point is 6488 meter, that is less than 7000 meter above sea level, with Gorichan peak, that is this particular peak is the highest point of Gorichan mountain range. So in this particular mountain range, there was one particular peak which was unnamed as of yet. Okay, so these particular trekkers, what they did was they named it after the sixth Dalai Lama. Now, with the same information in mind, in the past, uh, the state of Arunachal Pradesh has been always a subject of inquiry when it comes to the UPSC examination. In past, they had asked which are the easternmost and westernmost states of India. The right answer was again Arunachal Pradesh is the easternmost state. On the similar lines, we have framed a practice question. Consider the following statements about the Gorichan mountain range. Right, so at least we know the name, that yes, this particular chain of mountains is located in which part of India. At least this is the learning that we'll be carrying away with us, right? The first one is it is located in the state of Arunachal Pradesh. Yes, this statement is true. Had this statement been it is located in For example, Himachal Pradesh, right? So again, this would have been wrong, yes, but right now it is a correct statement because it is located in the state of Arunachal Pradesh. Gori chain is one of the highest peaks in the eastern Himalayas. Yes, this statement is again correct. It is the peak of this particular range, that is Gori chain peak, is the highest peak in the eastern Himalayas. The altitude of highest peak in the Gori chain range exceeds 7,000 meters. Yes, this information again, UPSC is again introducing factual statements in the statement matrix as of now. So we'll have to kind of remember that is it more than 7,000 meters peak or not. But no, this statement is incorrect because the highest peak is 6,488, that is 6,500 meters. That is, this statement is correct. The right answer would be A. Right. With this, we conclude the DNS for today. I hope to meet you soon. But you please stay tuned for the upcoming session of Faizan Sir, that he'll be taking and discussing the ethics paper part 2. Right. Please stay tuned, and Faizan Sir will be joining you soon.